your host, Brian Carothers.
Yes! Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much. Welcome to oneBURGH Tonight. I'm your host, Brian Carothers, and we have a very special announcement. We are on the internet. Yes. Welcome to our 5th edition of oneBURGH Tonight. Our guest tonight is Paul Zeiss. Tons of fun happening throughout. Chef Frank is here. But first, Pittsburgh Rivers deserve some attention on oneBURGH Tonight. The 3 rivers, yes, that give our city an identity. The Ohio, the Allegheny, and the Monongahela. Did I say it right? I'm being told I said it right. Thank you. Now, they meet downtown at the Point, one of the most photographed places in America, the lifeblood of our city. Native Americans explored them. We gave steel to the world on them. And amazingly, some dude delivered pizza in them.
Oh God, he's driven. He is doing something.
Whoa, wow, that moment is actually incredible. The legs on that dude, amazing. That moment should not be overlooked as one of the greatest physical achievements ever in the history of Pittsburgh. Now, what makes the river so majestic and amazing, and what would make me never eat one of those pizzas or at least burn the clothes that I was wearing, is the amount of things we dump in the river on a daily basis. For most of Pittsburgh's history, the rivers have basically been dumpsters, and they actually still are today. During the steel era, factories dumped slag and coal, chemicals, industrial runoff. By the early 1900s, the water was so polluted in Pittsburgh that fish largely disappeared from parts of the rivers. There are historical reports describing the water as black, oily, and sometimes glowing with industrial discharge. Yummy, says Iron City Brewing. The good news is the rivers today are dramatically cleaner than the steel era, but that's not a football spike celebration. Yes, your wife is cleaner than when she went to IUP, but she's still nasty as hell. Scientists test the 3 rivers regularly, and the results are mixed. When they're monitored, they found that it depends on location and weather. In recent testing, E. coli bacteria, the main indicator of whether you can swim, sites on the Ohio River met the recreational safety standards about 67% of the time. The Allegheny, 43% of the time. And the Monongahela, 33% of the time it was safe to swim in it. Damn, 33% of the time. That's less dangerous than actually being in Monongahela. You know why? Because there's sewage in our water. Sewage. The pulp to the river's orange juice. Every year, roughly 9 billion gallons of untreated sewage overflows from Elkasan and goes directly into Pittsburgh's rivers. No wonder Frankie the fish looks like a crackhead. He's so stressed out. And what is Frankie, by the way? A mutant fish person that can breathe our air and live amongst us. Who came up with that? It'd be like the city dump came up with a mascot that was a human-sized rat wearing a suit that looks high on fentanyl and warns you to recycle. Now, it only takes 1/10 of an inch of rain to overflow Pittsburgh's waterways. Elkasan has begun a $2 billion 11-year project to add tunnels below all 3 rivers to address the overflow problems. Sort of. The new $2 billion system will still allow 3 billion gallons of untreated sewage into the rivers and streams every year. Now, you wonder, why are we booing Tomlin or the Pirates for the garbage on the field? Right outside the stadiums, literal garbage is floating by and we're drinking it. Now, what can normal Yinzers do? Be mindful of what goes down your drain. People in Western PA who fish and boat will tell you to start thinking about forever chemicals and how you dispose of them. A recent water quality report said that PFAs, or forever chemicals, are in nearly 75% of samples taken from Pittsburgh rivers. PFA chemicals are used in things like waterproofing clothing, stain-resistant fabrics, industrial coatings on pots and pans. They're called forever because they barely break down in nature, which means once they enter your waterways, They'll be there forever. Scientists have linked exposure and health risks to cancer and immune system damage, which means the rivers contain substances that will literally kill us and outlive us. The probability of our grandkids dying from forever chemicals is forever. Okay, that seems like enough issues, enough going to church. We want to laugh on the show. We'll be better, Brian. We'll help the rivers.
Tires and trash as far as the eye can see, but what you're looking at isn't a landfill. No, it's right in the middle of the city, and it turns out there are hundreds of these illegal dump sites.
The marking on these big bins is clear: recycling only, no trash. But illegal dumping happening right next to these big bins is about to ruin things for everybody.
Trash dumping on Pittsburgh's north side.
One man reached out to KDKA to say it's an ongoing problem.
Okay, yeah, not so fast. Illegal dumping is one of the biggest ways that trash ends up in Pittsburgh's rivers. Over the past 2 decades, Allegheny Cleanways has documented hundreds of illegal dump sites across Allegheny County and removed more than 5 million pounds of garbage from hillsides, ravines, and vacant lots. Great comfy things like mattresses and couches, refrigerators, thousands of tires, debris, and household junk. Our hills make the problem worse. When people dump trash on hillsides, rain and gravity do the rest, washing debris into storm drains, streams, and eventually the 3 rivers. In other words, much of what ends up floating past downtown doesn't start in the water, it starts in the woods above it. Now, besides all that, and that's a lot, we have something that you might be interested in. Johnny, a new car!
This right here, that's the tens of thousands of pounds of wreckage that used to be cars that they've pulled out of our rivers, all in an effort to try to clean up the waters.
In the summer of 2024, river cleanup crews estimate that there may be around 100+ cars sitting at the bottom of Pittsburgh Rivers, which means somewhere at the bottom of the Allegheny River, there's probably a Buick that's like, hey, free cars, bring your towels, we're the greatest city ever, who needs a free one? And now there's another strange contributor. Winter road salt. Pennsylvania uses hundreds of thousands of tons of salt every winter to keep roads safe. But when snow melts, like it does now, salt runs into storm drains and eventually into the rivers, which means in the spring, right now, during the NFL draft, our rivers contain stormwater, trash, chemicals, sewage, road salt, and apparently a fleet of abandoned cars. Pizza, anyone? Stopping pollution in Pittsburgh's rivers will take both infrastructure fixes and community action, and several groups are already working on it. Elkasan, of course, is trying. And at the same time, organizations like Allegheny Cleanways are attacking the problem, while river advocate groups like 3 Rivers Waterkeeper monitor pollution and hope to make regulation change. Local governments and volunteers are also organizing NFL draft-inspired Red Up cleanups and riverfront restoration projects to remove litter and restore habitat. Together, these efforts aim to stop trash and pollution before they reach the river, protecting the rivers that build Pittsburgh and keeping them cleaner for the people and wildlife that depend on them. And that's a pretty good thing whether there was a draft or not. Look, the city exists because of them. They power the steel industry. We boat on them. We swim in them. There's 20 million amateur fake photographers that photograph them all the time. And yet, throughout our history and today, we've treated them like dumpsters with bridges over them. Forget the draft coming to town. Let's focus on what's drifting through our waters. It's gross. And someday, we won't all gasp when we see local heroes like him.